Okay. Okay, so welcome to Fireside Chat. Those of you who are not familiar with the idea of Fireside Chat, at Schumacher College, when I go every fortnight, and I used to go every week, I used to have Fireside Chat. And the idea of Fireside Chat is that anyone in the college, if you are attending short course or master's program or volunteers or staff, anyone in the college are all welcome. So it's open to everybody. Because the other courses are sometimes restricted. So short course participants attend only short course. The master's students attend only master's courses. So they are restricted. But the fireside chats are open to everybody. And the most important thing about fireside chat is that it's not fixed on any agenda. There is no topic, there is no fixed agenda. It's very emergent. So whatever emerges, I have no idea what I'm going to say. So emergent. And then the most important part of fireside chat is question answer, conversation. So I'll say a few words, but be prepared to ask any question about your life, about the world, about the universe, about the stars, about the sun, about the moon, about love, about anything. So that's a kind of idea. There's a kind of open conversation. So that at the Schumacher College, when students are there, they are bothered about some questions, they can't find answers. It's not part of holistic science or not part of economics of transition, but it's a part of their life. So they can ask those questions. So that's a very important tradition. So be prepared to ask any questions. That's the most important part. So I would start with the idea of community. We have developed in the West the idea of individualism. Individual as a separate being. And that idea of separate being has permeated throughout our society and throughout the world. So we see everything in separate individual items, individual human beings, but also individual house, individual tree, individual animal, individual something. So this is the idea based on separation, dualism. You separate. The community, idea of community is come together. Community, come together. Even competition is together. Sometimes people think of word competition as something against. You are playing somebody against somebody. You are two teams, you are playing against somebody. No, you are not playing against. Competition means to petition together, come together. So competition is, and petition means striving. So striving together. So if there are two teams playing in football or cricket or any game, they are playing together. They are not playing against each other because they can't. If they were against each other, they will not be able to play. So they are playing together. So community is united together. So we are all part of community. So even our body is a community. A community of many bacteria, millions of them. And they all live together in our body. But our body cannot exist by itself. It is made of earth, air, fire, water. All four elements are in our body. So that's a community of four elements in our body. And then not only those visible material elements, our bodies also contain and have embodiment of our consciousness, our imagination, our creativity, our compassion, our spirit, our soul, our heart. These are not material. These are invisible, non-material part of or aspects of our body or our being. And so they are all part of that body community. And then we extend that community into our family. So we have a husband, we have a wife, we have a child, we have a mother, we have a father, we have a grandfather, we have grandchildren, we have a grandmother, we have an uncle, we have an aunt. So extended family. So when I go to India, I have 7 brothers and sisters. Many of them have passed away. But 7 brothers and sisters, and their children and their grandchildren. When we all get together, we are nearly 100 people. I don't recognize everybody. So that's a kind of community of family. And the family bond is very important, because when you are in the family, you are taking care of each other. So family is a very important community. Thich Nhat Hanh even calls it a sangha. Sangha is a religious community. So even a family is a religious community. So looking after your children, looking after your spouses, looking after your parents, the elderly parents, the uncles and aunts, they are all part of the family. So that's a community, family community. And then we extend that into village community. So, and a community means together, united together, so you know each other. In the village here, when Ivo took us this afternoon for a little walk, we met people. They are part of your community. They are sharing ideas, life, milk, hay, horses, land, food, ideas, love, above all. So the village community, and village community is the most important in a way, because no one family can survive by itself. So families come together to live in a village, and then that village community is not about people only. The houses are part of community, and not only houses, but the forests and the land and the animals, the cows, the horses, and the deer, and the wolf, and the fox, and the squirrels, and the honeybee, and the butterflies. They are all part of your community. There was a great teacher in America called Thomas Berry. Thomas Berry. He came to Schumacher College, and I remember him saying a very beautiful sentence at the Schumacher College. He said this. He said, "The universe is not a collection of objects, it's a communion of subjects." And the word communion is part of community. It's a communion of subjects. So we are members of this earth community. The whole earth is our community, members of earth community. We think of human community. A community, when we think of, is a human community. But actually, we have to extend our idea of community into earth community. And so, trees are members of our family and members of our community. The birds flying in the sky are members of our community. The earthworms under the soil, they are members of our earth community. Without the earthworms, there will be no good gardens. There will be no food on our table. So I always say, long live the earthworm. And when Ivo invited me 10 or 12 years ago in Amsterdam, or what was it? The Hague conference. There were business people there. You remember, you were there organizing it. Willem was organizing with Ivo. And there were business people with ties and suits and a kind of modern building, I remember. And I talked about earthworms as the members of our community. And I said, without the earthworms, we cannot survive. Our food comes from the earth. Earthworms are digging the soil. One earthworm turns, how many tons of soil?
Yeah, tons of soil in a year.
Yeah, tons of soil in the year. If you have 100 earthworms in your garden, you don't need a cultivator. You don't need a rotavator. You don't need a tractor. Just put earthworms and they are your tractors. And they are members of our community, earth community. So I always say, long live the earthworms, because they keep us going. And so this way, when our mind extends and opens to all the living beings upon this earth and feels as members of our community, then we can extend our love. Our love is not only for a small community. Our love for a small community, of course, but it has to extend to large community. So earth community includes the oceans, the stars, the moon, the sun, the galaxies, many, many planets, all cosmic community. Earth community becomes cosmic community. And we are all part of it. There is nothing separate. There is no separation. The separation, individualism, and I and you separate, I think, therefore I am, this idea of René Descartes, who separated, he's a kind of arc dualist. separation. I wrote in answer to René Descartes' book, I think, therefore I am. You are, therefore I am. And it's translated into French. Tu es donc je suis. So it's a French translation, and it has sold quite well because they say it's good to have somebody challenging René Descartes, their French philosopher. But René Descartes has so much influence on our modern society and modern education and modern science and modern philosophy that we have become sort of habituated to think in terms of separation. And so my feeling is that we have to move this old story of separation to a new story of community. We are all members of Earth community, and then Romanian community, then Transylvanian community, then the village communities, and then the family community, and then our body community. So from microcosm to macrocosm. So we are microcosm of macrocosm. In this one body, we contain the entire universe. We are made of the sun. If there is no sun, there will be no humans. We are made of the moon and the stars. We are literally the children of the stars. And so entire cosmos is in our body. And entire consciousness is in our body. The entire imagination is in our body. The entire spirit is in our body. So our body, this little body, 5'6", 6 foot, 6'6", whatever tall, however tall you are, still very small body. But in this small body, this intimate body that you have, we all have, is the ultimate reality. The ultimate reality contained in this beautifully designed body. Can you imagine this body? Can anyone design such a body? I mean, the two eyes, what a wonderful design of our two eyes. And with this, open your eyes and you can see so vast, magical mountains of Transylvania. And you can see so much, and ears, and our lips and tongues, and our whole two arms, two hands, everything in our body is magical. And so if we can respect this our body community and then feel that we are not isolated, separated individual beings, but we are members of a very big community, the cosmic community. The moment you have that big mind, you touch the mind of God. When Stephen Hawking wrote his very famous book in English, and I'm sure it's translated in many other languages, called Brief History of Time. And in the last paragraph, because he was looking for some theory of everything, and he was looking for something to make sense of the whole world. And still scientists have not found making sense of the whole world. They are still looking what this world means and how does it all work together and how it sort of fits in everything. So he said in the last paragraph that one day will come when scientists will know the mind of God. I never met him, he has passed away, but if I had met him, I would have said that one day can be today. That one day can be today. If you open your mind to the cosmic mind and the cosmic consciousness, you can touch the mind of God today. And we are capable of touching the mind of God. Kirsten asked me very pertinent question. Do you believe in God? He asked me, didn't you? You asked me, do you believe in God? And I said, yes and no. Yes, if you think God means the entire cosmic energy, cosmic consciousness, then yes. But if you think God is a man with long beard and behind the sky somewhere in the clouds, somewhere sitting there pulling strings and created the world one day and then 6 days and seventh day went to sleep and still sleeping, then no. So So it was a very wonderful question. So we can touch the mind of God today by opening our minds and expanding our minds to that cosmic consciousness. So the consciousness is inside our body, but our bodies are inside the consciousness. Like the space is inside this room, but this room is inside the space. Space is greater than the space inside the room. In the same way, we contain and embody the consciousness within our body. But our bodies are also in the consciousness. Because consciousness is much bigger landscape or much bigger scape, consciousness scape, than our just the body. And so inner and outer, the inner consciousness and the outer consciousness together. Like this room has an inner space, that's the inner consciousness. And the room or the house is in the space. And the space is vast. There is no lack of space. It's a vast, it's infinite space. You can go miles and miles and millions and trillions of miles all around cosmic horizons and cosmic galaxies and planets. There is no limited space. So as there is no limited space, there is no limitation to consciousness. Consciousness is the canvas upon which the entire cosmos is painted. Consciousness is the primary and the creation is the secondary. So like a painting is on the canvas, in the same way the universe is a painting on the canvas of the consciousness. So that vast consciousness, the ultimate, is also intimate. That's the beauty of the universal design. The ultimate consciousness has become intimate within ourselves, and we can touch it in our body, in our soul, in our spirit, in our imagination, in our creativity, in our poetry, in our dance, in our music, in our songs. We can touch it. Because without that consciousness, there is no imagination. Without that imagination, there is no dance, there is no music, there is no poetry, there is no painting, there is no architecture, there is no agriculture, there is no food. Everything comes from imagination. But imagination is part of consciousness. And so when in the morning we meditate, we say, I am body, but I am also consciousness. In my body, I am embodiment of consciousness. I am body, but I am also spirit. And I am embodiment of the spirit. And I am body. This is a physical, visible body, but the invisible reality of the body. Without that invisible spirit, the invisible imagination, this body is just dead body, just good for the coffin, for the grave. But that consciousness, that spirit, you are not simply your body. The materialism tells you that you are only matter. Nothing exists which cannot be measured. That's a René Descartes. He said nothing exists which cannot be measured. Everything what exists can be measured. Mathematics, measurement, meter. Meter and matter come from the same root. So what you cannot be cannot be measured by a meter does not exist. Matter exists only. This is why they are materialist. So when you say matter without spirit is no use. This body without spirit is no use. Even the trees have that spirit. Even the earth, even animals, even rocks have spirit. They are alive. The earth is intelligent. This is Gaia. Earth is a living organism and therefore it's intelligent. It has consciousness. The consciousness, the understanding of that consciousness, and lots of people have done the idea and studies and experiment and research on consciousness. And there is unending. You cannot really put the meaning of consciousness into words, into research, into academic paper, into a book or into anything. It is not possible. Like you cannot put the whole vast cosmos into a painting. But still a painting is a representation. You can see a great painting of cosmic stars or mountains or whatever it is, or even water lilies. They can represent it, but they cannot bring the whole thing into the painting. In the same way, we cannot describe or explain what is consciousness into few words, into a book or into an essay or into a research academic paper. You have to just feel it. And this is why meditation is important. That when we meditate, we are just feeling. We are not thinking. We are feeling that I am body, I am spirit, I am consciousness, I am imagination. But my imagination, my consciousness, my spirit, my soul is mine, but also is universal. It's not just mine, it's universal. The spirit, this space belongs to this house, but this is part of the universal space. This air in this room is a particular air, but this air is cosmic, it's everywhere. So the moment you say my spirit, my consciousness, my imagination, you are connecting with the community of cosmic consciousness, cosmic spirit, and cosmic imagination. And for me, that is the meaning of community. Being in the community of cosmic consciousness. So from body, you start the intimate, and then you go further and further and further to the ultimate. So the intimate and the ultimate are connected. You cannot separate the intimate and the ultimate. This is the problem with Cartesian dualism, that you separate the intimate and the ultimate. And the ultimate, you say, God's mind does exist, does not exist, etc., etc. So this separation has been the old story and has caused the problems of our environment, of our global warming, of climate change, of pollution of rivers, the pollution of water, the destruction of our rainforest, the destruction of our purity of water, and all the things that we face today is caused by this idea of separation. The moment you go from separation to the unity of life, this is why in meditation we say everything is connected as the thumb is connected with the index finger. This is why we make this mandala in meditation. Say everything is connected. We are all one with this sense of unity of life. Unity and community. Unity. The unity of life makes the community of life. The community of life, the community of the earth, the community of cosmos comes from this body. And so this way we can touch the mind of God by being in that sense of community, not separation. Separation creates ego. Me, my name, my fame, I'm separate from you, I'm better than you, I love myself more than I love you. This kind of separation creates the ego. And that personal ego becomes family ego, and the family ego becomes a national ego or racial ego or religious ego. Religious ego is Hinduism better than Christianity, or Christianity is better than Islam, or Islam is better than Buddhism, or Buddhism is better than Taoism, etc. So this kind of separation and then superiority and inferiority creates ego. So if we want to be free of ego, go back to your sense of community. We are members of one community. And whether you are Hindu or Muslim, you are members of human community. Never mind earth community. At least you can grasp human community. We don't even grasp the human community. How are we going to grasp the earth community? And how are we going to grasp the cosmic community? And so in order to grasp the cosmic community and earth community, we have to grasp the human community. And so the moment you have that sense of community, all separations end and everything becomes relational. Everything is related. Everything is connected. We are all part of each other. We are made of each other. There is no difference between you and I. Although you may look differently, you might have slightly different height or weight or your hair color or whatever. But you and I are made of all the same stuff. Every one of us. Earth, air, fire, water, cosmos, consciousness, spirit, imagination, creativity, trust, heart, soul, all the things that you can name and you can list. We all share together. And not only humans, but animals share the same thing. And not only animals, but trees and the mountains share the same thing. The trees and mountains have the same consciousness and same spirit and imagination. William Blake was a great poet in England called William Blake. He said, nature is imagination itself. Beautiful, one line. Nature is imagination itself. We humans have this arrogance. We think that the imagination is the attribute of human beings. Only human beings have imagination. But in his wisdom, William Blake says that nature is imagination itself. So nature has imagination. Nature has intelligence. Nature has consciousness. Nature has spirit, as we have spirit. So we are all members of this cosmic community, the earth community, the national community, the village community, the family community, and the body community. Thank you.